So let's bring back our panelists now. Dr. Taylor, your research has been focused on civic engagement. So how can students motivate others to get out and vote?
Oh, that's a good question. We did see with the millennium generation that in the last 2004, 2008, there was a large turnout of students. It looks like I'm working with Rutgers and with Texas and Oklahoma and University of Florida on civic political engagement right now, and we're seeing that there's been a drop-off. Of course, midterm elections, there's always a drop-off, and because there's no national election, students are not really thinking it affects them, although unfortunately people are getting out of school before long and the economy is not in good shape and they will be affecting them.
Taylor, you worked on the Obama campaign, right? How'd you engage students? There was so much just involvement that year, two years ago.
I think it's been interesting to see the fall off, and like we've said, the midterm elections are generally a little bit quieter, but we definitely lost the momentum we had in 2008, and I think part of it is that we had a lot of support from both parties in terms of volunteers and the organizational structures in place a year in advance. So mobilizing students isn't an easy thing to do, especially in a short amount of time. We saw in that election it took a lot longer, and I just don't think any of the candidates have the funds or resources really to do that same kind of mobilization campaign.
Do you think the Republicans are more active this year than they were 2 years ago?
I think so. I think probably just because we have a very clear sight of what we want, and we're very organized on how to mobilize students because we've been anticipating this reaction to the current Obama administration and many of the races. But also I think why maybe our numbers might not be as high as they used to be is we saw in 2000, 2004, 2008 a greater student participation. And the result of that has been kind of just how voters in general feel, which is kind of a distrust of the election politics, which is they tell us one thing and they'll do something else. So students may now just be realizing that although it may affect them, they seem to be just as frustrated as the rest of us.
All right, Jack, sorry we didn't hear from you, but we're running short on time, so we're going to go on to our next segment. Fresh out of college and already on the ballot, Jasmine Spencer joins us with more on the county commissioner candidate with a strong Elon connection. Jasmine?
Well, Drew, 3 Alamance County Commissioner seats are up for a vote. I caught up with one candidate who has a special connection to the Elon community. Campaign signs, both large and small, are crowding the curbs of local streets. These signs mean Election Day is around the corner, and while many Elon students may not know much about area races, one county commissioner candidate is counting on the support from his alma mater.
Some professors said, why not? And some said, well, I'm not surprised. They almost kind of expected it.
Jeremy Teeter graduated from Elon in May and is running for the 2-year seat on the Alamance County Board of Commissioner. At only 22 years old, Teeter is the youngest candidate of 3.
I'm coming at this with a fresh perspective. I'm approaching this bid for county commission with no political favors, no previous political ties. I'm only interested in your future of this county.
Teeter believes that his life experiences and comfortability with diversity sets him apart from the other candidates.
The other candidates very much grew up in more affluent backgrounds, grew up working with people who look like themselves, grew up also being groomed for the private sector and, having high-paying banker jobs, insurance jobs.
Teeter says his experience as a school teacher has helped him in his campaign. Some of his old teachers from Elon have also helped.
As a citizen of Alamance County, I think I would love to see him on the Alamance Board of Commissioners.
Education professor Glenda Crawford encouraged Teeter to run. She believed his teacher experience and lack of political baggage gives him a better edge.
I think he brings a new, fresh perspective. He's very knowledgeable and doesn't carry some old issues like some of our candidates might.
Teeter believes that these old issues are getting in the way of the true problems of education and the economy that need to be addressed.
A lot of people say, oh, you're just concerned about education because you're a teacher. Well, no. That is one reason, but I also understand that if you have a quality education system in your county, then you're going to attract really good employers. You're going to attract people that are offering those 21st century jobs that pay good money.
Teeter looks forward to the election day and hopes current Elon students will take advantage of their chance to vote. Jasmine Spencer, Phoenix 14 News.
Jeremy Teeter isn't the only local candidate with Elon roots. Jason Puckett introduces us to an Elon employee who's also running this year.
can normally find Tony Rose working in his office at Elon, but these days he's spending most of his time campaigning at early voting polls. That's because he's running for a school board.
I want to serve on the school board to make our school system better in a world-class school system, and that's my goal.
Rose says his local roots make him stand out as a candidate.
I have children in the school system, not all the candidates do. I went to school here, not all the candidates did.
And even though Rose doesn't call himself a politician, he was persuaded to run for office by friends, faculty, and staff at Elon.
People who know me and work with me have encouraged me to consider running for the school board.
He even has the support of President Lambert. The day I joined Rose on the campaign trail took him to Miss Oakley's classroom at Southern Middle School.
It's been interesting. I've learned a lot. I've enjoyed the political process. I've never done anything like this before. I've met a lot of great people in the community.
Win or lose, Tony says he just wants to make Alamance County schools a better place.
We're having gang problems and drug problems in our schools. There are many things that are the most important, but I'm running to be a voice for parents and teachers.
That was Jason Puckett reporting. Tony Rose is one of the 7 candidates on the ballot for Alamance County School Board. Steve Carter, Tony DeLello, Brad Evans, Natalie Jones, Kristen Moffitt, and Gary Smith are also running. There are 3 write-in candidates for the school board position. And we'll be right back. Welcome back. It's not a presidential election year, so students are not as eager to get involved. But as our Jeff Ackerman tells us, there are 3 reasons why students might want to pay attention.
Yeah, I'm definitely voting in the midterm elections.
Presidential candidates may not be on the ballot, but freshman Maddie Carlin is heading to the polls. She says it's important for college students like her to get out and vote in this midterm election.
It's really important because we're graduating in a couple of years and we need politicians in office that are going to pass laws and enact policies that strengthen the economy so we can get jobs.
And right now, jobs matter. Bureau of Labor Statistics data shows 10% of Americans are out of work, and rates are almost as high throughout North Carolina at about 9.6%.
College students are particularly worried about the economy.
Political science professor Malia Cromer says college students will cast vital votes on November 2nd when it comes to improving the economy.
As you know, at Elon, you are sinking quite a bit of money into your education, and you're hoping to get some sort of return on your investment.
Then there's the heated debate over health care, another reason Cromer says young voters need to pay attention to this election.
As soon as you graduate from college, you're going to be faced with this reality. If you don't walk into a job, a position that's full-time that offers you health insurance, you might be part of those millions of Americans who are uninsured.
Going green is also on the forefront of this midterm election. Some political experts think protecting the environment is just as important to the future of this country as any other issue, and feel young voters need to pay attention.
We know about environmental issues. First of all, the oil spill down the Gulf was a good example of it. We've also known that global warming is expanding, and this is having a devastating effect.
So whatever the issue, college students speaking up in these midterm elections could make a big impact on our country's future and your own. Jeff Ackerman, Phoenix 14 News Tonight.
The economy and the environment are 2 topics looked at in the latest Elon poll. 49% of North Carolinians thought the economy has leveled off, and 27% said the worst is yet to come. As for offshore drilling, support has dipped more than 10% since April. And for the midterm election, based on a generic ballot for Senate in North Carolina, Democrats led Republicans 6 points. As of September, still a third of those surveyed were undecided. The Elon poll surveyed 584 people and has a margin of error of plus or minus 4.1%. Well, we do have some time left. We want to hear from our panel again. Quickly, let's just we'll go starting with Taylor, about who do you think will take this election?
I think that the Republicans will probably win some seats. Democrats are probably going to lose some. I think this is kind of what we see in midterm elections, especially with the presidency being a Democratic president. It's usually a balancing act. So I think the Democrats will probably lose a few seats. And
do you think they'll lose a majority?
Yeah, I think they are going to lose the majority, but I'm hoping that between the 2 parties we can still get some stuff done and see the next 2 years through and hopefully have a better economy and environment.
George, what's your prediction?
Well, I think the Democrats will lose probably 50 to 52 seats in the House. A lot of the seats they're losing were already Republican seats, but went with Democrat in 2008. I don't think they're going to lose control of the Senate. They will lose control of the House. But what this means is nothing's going to get done in the next 2 years. It's still going to be a conflict. Interesting, Charlie Cook, who's the guru for congressional politics, was here in September, and he he told us he'd talked before the Republican hierarchy. He says the good news is the people don't like the Democrats. The bad news for you also is that they don't like you either. So things could turn around again in 2 years.
Sure. Max, what's your take?
I think it's less important to see how many seats are left are divided among the parties. What's more important to see who wins or loses this election is how well the parties are able to adapt to the criticisms that the Tea Partiers have established, and how well they are to adapt to the will of the people, because that's what people are frustrated with.
All right. And we'll end with Jack.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with pretty much what everyone else said, was that I do think Republicans will win a good amount of seats, as you would see with any midterm election when the other party's in power. Except that I think that you bring up a really good point, that this is also a little different, that I feel like tensions are a little higher than they used to be, especially with things like the Tea Party and an economy that's a lot more hurt than it used to be. So.
All right. Thanks so much to all our panelists for joining us and sharing your views with us tonight. Coming up on election night, we'll have special coverage throughout the evening and 30 minutes of results at 10 p.m. right here on this station. Polls open Tuesday at 6:30 a.m. and close at 7:30 p.m. That does it for this Phoenix 14 News special report. I'm Drew Smith. Thanks for watching, and remember to vote Tuesday.